Hello. Welcome to the best podcast ever created, That Dude Podcast with me, Tom Byron, your host. And That Dude Podcast is sponsored as always by Green Genie, greengenieny.com, greengenieny.com for all your gummies and vape carts and cannabis needs. My guest is someone that the OnlyFans generation may not know, but I've known him for a long time, and let's figure out who this guy is to introduce him to all the younguns out there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gene Ross. Hey,
Yeah,
Gene.
I mean nobody can even relate to the 1980s.
I know. Back when we were big shots, man. And now look at us. We're just old
Ah,
men reliving the glory days.
we're just two old guys trying to get by.
That's all. So let's tell the story of Gene Ross a little bit. As people back then would know, you were like at AVN for many years. You were what the senior editor. What was your official title? Hello.
I left as vice
Oh,
president of editorial operations.
oh, okay. Now that started in
Now, how does that
Philadelphia.
grab you? Not just an editor, not the chief editor, but the
Vice
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 president.
President, kind of like Kamala Harris. You were there for all the big decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the male Kamala Harris of a.
And Paul Fishbein was the Joe Biden. I mean, I
Or
like
he
Paul.
was Joe Biden. Yeah, he was Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, I like Paul, but he's kind of a condescending little prick. You know what I mean?
Well, I could tell you stories to change your mind, but
Yeah. Let's tell those stories. In 2000, you left ABN and came over to Extreme Associates, my old gang. Wow,
absolutely.
your connection's kind of shitty, but it's not the
In
worst.
fact, I remember the night that prompted it. You had called me on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the night you had called me on the phone and you were kind of half stoned, and you were saying,
I,
"Hey, man, like,
no, I
when are you
was fully
coming over?"
stoned.
I mean, it was like a guy across the inviting you for a game of Monopoly and beers. When are you coming over? So I went over.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
that was pretty much it. Of course, the story prior to the story was I was over there a few times, and we were kind of
Mhm.
like planning a my exit from AVN in
Mhm.
a graceful, positive manner. And it was hardly graceful and it was hardly positive because uh, the day I finally decided to leave, I was covering one of Rob's wrestling matches.
Right.
I think it was in yeah, it was actually a big venue that you were having this one at, and
Yeah.
I was with my associate editor Michael Glogal,
Mhm.
and he's telling me, "Oh man, you got to go on the. I got to show you these emails. I got to show you these emails."
Yeah.
So after we left the wrestling match, we went back over to the AVN offices, and all this shit that was being written about me from
Mhm.
Bryn Pryor and all these other friends of his that were colluding, if you will, behind my back. And they
Mm.
were writing emails to Fishbein saying, "Oh, Gene's a traitor, and he's not loyal to AVN." I mean, bearing in mind that I was with the magazine from the beginning and
Mhm.
used to work like about 20 hours a day at it, but uh, Gene is an enemy of AVN. He's got to go and all of that shit. So that was on a Saturday. I waited till Monday, and I threw it all on Fishbein's lap, and he's playing dumb, like he doesn't know anything about it, except he was the recipient of all these emails.
Mm.
So, seeing that he wasn't being exactly forthcoming, I thought to myself, well, maybe it's time to scoot.
Mm.
So, a couple of
So
things all work together. With your phone call saying, "Hey, man, when you coming over?" And that was pretty much it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a wild time. I remember they did something. Rob had cooked up something where he went to the AVN offices and caused a
Oh, the palm tree incident,
yeah, yeah.
where
Talk
where
about that.
where Rob came into the AVN offices and he caused a ruckus in the lobby, and one of the lady cops, and Rob took the palm tree from the office in the Fishbein's lobby, and he tossed the palm tree on the floor. And the next thing you know, these cops show up, LAPD, and it was all Rob's doing. He had this whole thing arranged where it was like a wrestling gimmick.
Yeah.
And they were going crazy over at AVN, wondering what is the LAPD doing showing up at the lobby and all this kind of stuff. And everybody went nuts over that.
But it wasn't really the
It was the
LAPD.
great. No, it was you guys. I guess Rob.
Exactly.
I don't know if Rob ever let you in on it, but yeah. But
Yeah.
it was a wrestling gimmick.
They were fake cops.
So the funny thing about it is that Fishbein then calls the real LAPD to come over to investigate, and they have the tape, the lobby tape, and the cops are looking at it, and they're saying, "Looks like us." You had the cops fooled. You thought they were your guys were their guys.
Yeah.
So that was the funniest part about the whole thing. And then even funnier on top of that, Fishbein is like calling an insurance company, seeing if he could collect on damages for the palm tree.
The palm tree. What was the deductible? I mean,
yeah. That was the funniest part. Him like more worried about whether he could collect on the palm tree than anything else.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the state of the industry today, such that it is? I mean, there really isn't an industry anymore. It's to me, it's like
I don't get it, and I don't understand how anybody's making any money off of it.
Yeah, I call it the only
the last time you and I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Well, the last time you and I met, I think face to face, was at Jim South's party a few months before he died. And I was asking people then, how are you guys making money? And everybody's like, going, I don't know. You're giving me that Alfred E. Newman, what me worry look. Yeah. I don't know. To this day, I figure.
I know. It's just we're just all resting on our laurels, enjoying the glory days. I mean, that's basically why I started this podcast, just so we could talk about, the glory days of the industry and, talking to some other interesting people.
But at least back then you could keep an eye on things. You could keep a handle on things. You knew that Wicked Pictures, they were putting out this movie. Vivid was putting out this movie. me.
Yeah,
You knew what the state of everybody's just dropping scenes. That's what they
yeah.
call it now, dropping scenes.
Content. That's it. We went from adult
So
films to content.
yeah,
By the way, that Jim South party that you mentioned,
which have
I
been.
wasn't there. I was in New York. My biographer, Mike
You
Sater, was
weren't at
there.
South's party? I could.
I wasn't
Oh,
there.
I
I
talked to
wish I'd
your
have gone.
autobiographer.
Yeah, you talked to Mike.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, years ago, people were, I don't know, how are you making money? I don't know, how are you making money?
No,
One
Uber.
thing I could tell people is don't bother with trying to make money on a website, because
Oh yeah, that era is done.
forget about that.
It's
Website for about 15 years. I never saw.
I mean, to me, it's like panhandling, the whole camming and OnlyFans and all that stuff. I mean, we used to, you know, I mean, I was proud to call myself an adult film actor. Now it's like, you know, people standing in front of 7-Eleven begging for change. That's what I think of the whole camming and OnlyFans vibe. You know what I mean? It's like you used to be able to just show up on the set, do your job, learn your lines, do your job, and that was it. You know, now it's like you got to depend on the public to, you know, tip you, and you know, it's kind of sad. I
Okay,
really.
now grasp this concept.
Mhm.
Okay, grasp this concept. You remember back in the days, you would hire a female performer, maybe to
Right.
do one or two scenes.
Mhm.
Presumably, she's on set for a number of hours, and she's making a flat rate. I don't know. Maybe it was 800, 1,000 back then, 1,200.
Right.
I don't know. Nowadays, you contact somebody on OnlyFans, a content provider.
Right.
Oh, could you do me a 10-minute custom video? Oh, sure, babe. $1,000. $1,000 for 10
Wow.
minutes worth of work. That's where it's come down to.
You know what? If they can get it, more power to them. But you know, I mean, I had a high rate,
That's
but
what I say. But
but
who the hell?
yeah, yeah. I well, you know what? There's got to be somebody paying for something, because I mean, the OnlyFans owners are making millions of dollars. I mean, billions. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I don't like interacting directly with fans anyway, other than going to a convention or going to a, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the guy that, you know, like I'm gonna jerk off in front of some guy. I'm not gonna do it. You know, it's just not my vibe, man. So I don't what. Let's talk about the Tropicana.
But
Tropicana recently
which
got blowed up.
part of the
Yeah, hey, we had a lot of stories out of that fucking place.
so which would you find more interesting, talking about the days of Extreme or the days of AVN? Now, I
What do you?
remember Extreme. That that place was insane. It was a lunatic asylum.
Oh, it's
I
definitely,
mean,
yeah,
you had guys like Zupko, Kid Vegas,
yeah.
August Arkham. I mean, just a
Oh, I thought,
weirdo bunch.
yeah, that guy, Argus
I mean,
Arkham,
every day was a lumber. It was another one.
yeah, Argus Arkham. He had sent us a letter, and it was like the most bizarre letter in the history of letters, and we actually flew him out to California from, I think, North Carolina or something,
Yeah,
based on this one letter. That's what
I
got
rem-
August
yeah.
Arkham in the door. Yeah,
No, no, I think he was like a graduate of Duke University. He had like
oh
a
yeah.
real academic background.
Actually, I think it was Dartmouth. But yeah,
But you
he
know
was a
how he fit in with that bunch of misfits.
yeah, good old architect. He's an artist actually. He actually did a portrait of me. He might have done a portrait of you too, because he was into like doing portraits. But I haven't heard anything about that guy in years. Zupko, I hear, is now an evangelist, because he used to do all this.
That would figure.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Because
mean,
he used
I mean, you got Jenna Presley. She's now an evangelist. You got Rocco Reed. Remember back in the day how Rob would rip on Rocco Reed on his internet show and
yeah,
talk about the crossover
yeah,
guys and all of
yeah,
that stuff. And
yeah. I know he found God. I actually follow him on
so,
Twitter. Just I like
you
Rocco.
know, there's probably money in that. So,
Well, you know what? Praise Jesus. Let's line up. Where can we get in on that dollar, Gene?
hey, make a
We could be
living any way you can.
exactly.
Huh?
So yeah, the good old Rocco Reed. I liked him. Who else found God? I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of funny. You interviewing me when I spent most of my time at
I
Extreme
know.
Associates interviewing you.
I
Remember,
know.
every other day you'd be in my office and we'd be talking about your latest project.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe you should interview me. What do you want to know?
Oh, actually, you wrote your own book back then.
Yeah.
God. Sometimes I think I'm so past that and then I find myself now on Facebook doing exactly what I swore I wasn't going to do anymore.
Yeah.
You know, writing
Yeah.
about the business and
Right. I noticed that you're actually because before there was Facebook or Twitter, there was, Gene Ross Extreme.com. Before that, GeneRoss.com,
right.
before that, LukeFord.com. Luke Ford was an Australian Orthodox Jew who used to get scoops or whatever from the industry. He would just put up anything. And then GeneRoss.com was actually
It was the answer was the
right to kind of to answer that. And then
so I don't know. I look at it like Fox News versus MSNBC or something like that.
right,
That's kind of
exactly.
like what it was. It was
Yeah,
two different points of view.
right.
And
Yeah,
each
so
side, of course, claimed that they had the validity.
yeah, but the thing is, it's like before there was Facebook and Twitter. I mean, that's where the industry got their news. Was from those
Absolutely.
quote unquote gossip websites. So
And there is no place to go anymore.
yeah. So
Because even the gossip sites that are still around, like Mike South, there's nothing on there.
He don't even run it no more. He does like, I don't know.
No.
I think he hires writers or whatever. I never go to any porn sites.
Well, now here's a funny story. A couple months ago, and I won't say who it was, but who was acting as an intermediary, and they take over MikeSouth.com and write for MikeSouth.com.
Right.
But still keeping it MikeSouth.com. And I'm going like, for like 20 years, I was a name brand and gossip under my own name. Why am I writing for MikeSouth.com?
Exactly.
Who will pay you?
Yeah, they
to write for MikeSouth.com. I thought it was.
They offered me the same thing. I was like, nah, dude.
Oh yeah, they probably got you first, and I was sloppy seconds. Now I'm offended.
Yeah. I said, nah, dude. Last thing I'm going to do is write for any gossip, but definitely not Mike South. I mean, ugh. I don't even know how that guy even like got his way into the business. He's just a total fucking obnoxious human being.
Well, he started out as a performer.
Yeah,
He was doing amateur videos.
yeah, amateur, amateur.
So
That just
that's
means
basically
incompetent.
how he.
And
It was just another site you could see like, oh, did he get something I didn't get? I
yeah,
mean, granted, I'll give him 1 ounce of credit. He kind of like jumped all over the Mr. Marcus story back when we
yeah,
had the syphilis outbreak in the business. He
yeah. I
was all
remember
over
that.
Marcus's case for like months.
Yeah, that was kind of fucked up, dude. I mean, anyone that shows up on set with any kind of STD, that's just so. It's like, dude, really? And it was obvious STD. It was like big white spots all over his fucking dick, you know, and they're taking pictures of it. It's like, dude, really?
See, and now is so controlled, you don't hear any of this stuff. And
Yeah.
it's really under control. Well, lock and key.
Well, that's why I'm glad you're
So
doing the thing
that was
on
my other
Facebook.
reason.
I'm glad you're doing the thing on Facebook because there's nothing
And
interesting on Facebook
anybody
anymore.
and ask questions that should be asked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the Facebook, are you
So
signed up?
my personal bugs are with Pornhub and
Oh yeah,
OnlyFans.
yeah. Now on the Facebook thing, are you signed up so you get money for that? Because I signed up and I made $3
No, I don't
last.
get a dime. A lot of people think, oh yeah,
You
Gene, you're
should,
doing this for clickbait. Yeah,
dude. You should set it up because I made $3 last month, $3 whole dollars, and you post a lot more than I do. There's a way to get paid for all
holy
that stuff on
shit!
Facebook. Yeah, man. You could get paid for all
Wow.
that. Yeah.
I mean, now when you mention that, I mean, but is that after taxes or is that before taxes?
I think it's after. Yeah. Like I said, I use it very rarely, but I know, some people, that's what they call it, engagement farming. So they make a bunch of posts and they reply to a bunch of posts and you get money. You make money off that off Facebook and off Twitter too, but
Well,
Facebook
I
is,
got to thank you for one thing because when you put up, yeah, when you put up that announcement that I was going to be on your show, I
mhm,
mean, dozens of people literally came out of the woodwork that I hadn't even heard from.
yeah.
So if
Yeah,
they learn
like
now that I've got the Facebook page, at least.
yeah, man, go there and set that up so you can get paid for that because you can, you know. I don't know, it's probably not anything substantial,
uh,
but at least set it up and give it a shot, you know.
yeah.
Here am I
Well,
giving
I do it
fine,
for fun.
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I mean, that's you got to have an outlet. I mean, I'm the same way. I still edit. I edit boxing for Boxing Insider Promotions. I still edit XPW. So I need that creative outlet. And I got to imagine writing is sort of like something that kind of is your creative outlet.
Well,
Because I
yeah.
mean,
For anything else, it keeps your mind active because you're
yeah,
always
exactly.
formulating
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've been
what you're.
you- you've always
So
been a journalist, right?
it's
A reporter.
it's kind of
Go
an
go.
ongoing.
Yeah, you have the
Absolutely.
you have the worst connection, dude. I mean, I'm trying to get everything, but you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
freezing
Well,
up
it's
and
my first job was in as a newspaper reporter.
right, right. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Were you like in sports or entertainment or what kind of genre were you reporting on?
Was
What genre? Like
my only
which?
regret is that I didn't take journalism further because I was offered an opportunity to be a sports writer in Philadelphia,
Oh,
covering
right on.
the Phillies, Eagles, and 76ers. And
Yeah.
and I was a young guy at the time, and I just didn't have that. Every writer has a voice,
Right.
and I hadn't found it yet. I was still experimenting, figuring out what was the best way, how was the best way to write this, write that. So I
Right.
studied a lot of different writers, sports writers
Mm.
at the time. Uh, and Philadelphia was just populated with tons of them. Everyone from Sandy Grady, George Casada. Philadelphia just had in the sports arena, and that was the other reason why I kind of like had trepidations about going in it, because I would be competing with these guys.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, I'm like 22 years old. I'm going to compete with these guys on that level.
Hey, I'm Tom Byron, host of That Dude Podcast, sponsored by Green Genie. Your wish is my command. How good are Green Genie gummies? Let me tell you, Green Genie gummies are so strong they will quickly turn this dude into that dude. So go to greengenieny.com. That's greengenieny.com. They got gummies, they got chocolates, they got cooking oil, everything to help make America stoned again. greengenieny.com. Go now. Okay.
What I was saying is that I was offered a job to be a sports writer, and that there was just amazing competition in that arena. A lot of
Yeah.
big name guys who, like Larry Merchant. I mean, you would see him on HBO announcing pay-per-view boxing and like that, and stay big name at the time, and 2-year-old kid. What did I have to offer? So I just kind of like backed off and played it safe for a while, stayed as a beat reporter, and then just kind of like let life take me where it took me.
Yeah.
Winding up on the footsteps of on the doorsteps of AVN. Funny thing that happened there was I was a drinking buddy of Paul Fishbein's manager, office manager. Her name was Ginny March, and Ginny knew that I knew about the history of editor at the time, John Payone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that name.
AVN Implement. It was basically about consumers and what they like about porn, what they don't like about porn. And I guess John liked everything I said so much. A couple of days later, he asked me if I wanted to work part-time for him. And I figured out a way to kind of like put in 4 hours a day over there at AVN. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, John had to leave. His wife didn't want him to be in the porn industry anymore. She gave him really much no say in the matter. You quit or we get a divorce. And being in the right place at the right time, I slipped right into the job, took it over, and it was a seamless transition. And I was there like for the next 15 or so years.
Yeah, right. Like, I know it started in Philadelphia, but what year was it that it moved to LA? That was like the late 80s, right?
Well, I went with AVN in 1985,
Right. And
and that's when I was freelancing for him. And then
right.
I took over as editor of the magazine like in '86.
Mhm. But then you started in Philly and then moved to
And
LA,
the
right?
interesting thing about all of that is that, well, we almost never made the move because
Okay, repeat that. It
he had
froze up.
made this, and then he had to sign a distribution deal with a magazine, and it wound up costing him to print a number of magazines to go newsstand. So a
Yeah.
newsstand, and then almost went out of business.
Wow. Oh yeah, I
And
remember
then
that.
we had to figure out ways over the next couple of years to recoup the losses.
Yeah, I remember that
So
the
it was
first.
pretty much filling up AVN cover to cover under
Mhm.
different aliases and things like that.
Yeah, I remember the first cover had
So it was
Kylie
by
Ireland, I think,
'91
on it.
that was, so we got out of the hole. Oh, that was that was Success. That was another magazine that we had tried doing,
Right.
which was like of National Enquirer and
Mhm. Yeah, because
Porn Review, and that to me was a travesty, a debacle.
yeah, because I guess Kylie had
Didn't work.
some kind of
But
sex scandal or something with. Am I
with Michael Jordan.
right.
And
Yeah, that was the big
see,
launching point of that
see,
magazine,
like,
I think.
yeah, no, she was on Stern talking about it,
Right,
that type of
right.
thing. And unbeknown to me, I guess there were things going on in the background where Michael Jordan's lawyers came after Fishbein or whatever, and pretty much put the kibosh on that magazine.
Wow.
Now, supposedly all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, and Clyde DeWitt, you remember him?
Yeah.
He was
R.I.P.
he, he was the legal advice at the time, and everything seemed to be going good, and until a phone call came from certain people, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. I don't know. The celebrity scandal type thing. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. Running through the press if you had sex with somebody like the whole Stormy Daniels
The other
thing,
thing
man.
you got
I'm not a fan of that thing.
now was
And you froze again. Hello. All right. Are you talking? I can't tell. Hello?
no, I saw
Yeah.
your thing freezing up, so I didn't.
Really? Huh. That's bizarre. I'm not freezing
So
up at all
yeah,
on my end.
so
Okay.
we tried a number of different things. Okay, so when we first moved out to California, we tried another angle. It was Fishbein's answer to LA Express. It was going to be another hooker rag, but
Mm,
with the tabloid. But the worst thing was is that budget was non-existent,
right.
and we had to print on the cheapest pop, and the results were horrible. And that experiment lasted for about 4 years, or 4 issues, and that was over and done. So
Yeah.
I could say there was about like 3 or 4 different business opportunities that just never availed themselves. I think AVN tried going on the newsstand on 3 separate occasions and floundered each time. So
Yeah.
Fishbein, in a sense, struck lightning with AVN as a trade publication. Anything above and beyond that, forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, it was, it was an important part of the business in that people could advertise their products and read about themselves and stuff. So, I mean, it was, it definitely had its time and place. But I mean, now I don't know what's going on in the industry anymore. I'm just, on the outside looking in and going like,
Well, it's all about personalities, and everybody is an individual content provider, and
yeah,
everybody is their own little has their own little bailiwick or their own little PR to essentially have to follow every performer that's going on in it. Things
right.
like contract girls.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guaranteed money in that if you're a wicked girl, you get X number of dollars
Yeah.
to do 3 or 4 movies a month, or being a vivid girl, the same type of thing. It's just not that way anymore.
Yeah.
So everybody's got their own little hustle. They're on social media promoting this and this and that. And
yeah.
I can't see any improvement being done now. So it strikes me that this is the way it's going to go on forever and ever and ever until somebody reinvents the wheel again.
Right. But you know what? We had a good run, and I definitely didn't appreciate it as much as I do now. How just amazing our lives were.
See, I think the big mistake was putting the word out there that everybody can get into the business.
Right.
Because you remember there was a time where you had to pass muster. It was like a country club. You couldn't even think about starting a video company unless you got the papal blessing from Reuben Sterman.
Yep.
But once Reuben got in there and started doing all this promo that there's billions to be made. So then you had everybody and everyone coming into the industry like it was the California gold rush.
Yeah.
And you just flooded the market with product. Incredible. I mean, at one time you could sell 10,000 pieces of a number. Then it went down to 5,000. Then it went down to 2,500. Then it went down to 1,500. And most companies at the time were selling 250 to 500. To do with that, and then you had the competition like the Joseph Sarias of Sunshine Video selling DVDs for 50 cents. Like, wow, what do you do?
Them and Mark Carrier.
This is the new way of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah, the prices went down.
Yeah,
the quality went down.
Well, I mean, he destroyed the market. I mean, if you stop and think, because he was doing $3,000 and $4,000 videos. Ron Jeremy was his director as Bill Blackman. He would have the same cast: Ray Victory, Don Fernando, those guys. All the cheapy actors.
Yep.
And it was the girl of the week they were promoting, and nobody could match that kind of stuff.
Oh, I know. It was like one girl was the box cover, and then the rest was just B and C level talent. I think Jeremy used to call it killer and filler. have a killer box cover and the rest of the movie is shit.
Yeah, that's all it was about, the killer box cover. No,
Yeah,
nobody cared about what the contents were. It's
right.
just that if you had a good-looking girl on the box cover, that's what sold the movie.
Mm-hmm. I
So it
don't know.
had to be frustrating for other companies who were actually putting a few dollars in. But then you had the cable programming, like the erotic network coming along,
Mm-hmm.
and buying product for that type of thing. So that became uh, a saving grace source of revenue, so to speak. But I don't
Yeah,
even know what that business is like anymore. I don't know if
exactly.
there's
Yeah, no, we did good
even
business
if you
with
go
it
to a
years ago.
hotel room and
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I haven't been to a hotel that showed porn in years.
yeah. In fact, I learned a lot how to write scripts for a lot of those movies,
Right.
and there was a formula that yeah, you had to have like a girl have her clothes off within 2 minutes of the opening of the movie, or else you would lose your customer or that type of
Yeah.
thing. So everything had to be written for a specific market. Like
Right.
you couldn't have interracial because
Mm-hmm.
the southern market wasn't going to
Right.
buy into that. So there was like a lot of rules and regulations keep in mind when even approaching a movie that had the potential cable market.
Yeah.
Interesting
But
stuff.
yeah, they were still the best days. Best days of the industry, man. We were all making money and
So
having fun.
yeah, and even then, I mean, you didn't have the number of performers that you had now. I think you used to be 70 South and Reb were the two agents.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
You
Jim and
went
Red.
through them, and then all of a sudden everything you wound up getting more talent agencies formed, more girls coming in. I think there was a time where you would have like 3,000, 4,000 performers at any one time,
Oh, I
as
know.
opposed to the original core of like about 75.
Hmm. Yeah,
And for me
there
back
was
then, because I knew everybody, and just to pick up the phone, call somebody, get a story, do whatever. But
hmm
then when you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new girls and trying to keep track of everybody, that was a daunting task, to say the
yeah.
least.
But it was good for, the content creators, whatever, because,
But by the
just
same token, evolved into more drama because the more performers you had, then you were getting all these lunatics off the street
yeah.
who were shooting, and girls were doing drugs, alcohol dependency, and
Hmm.
made my life kind of colorful writing about all this stuff. And Rob Spallone, of all people, seemed to have cornered the market on all that. So Luke Ford kind of got smart with that. He used to hang around Rob
Hmm.
because Rob would have all of these that would be working on his set. Talk to three or four of the girls who are totally out of their minds, give him interview with exclamation points, and everybody's going like, "What the hell?" Luke Ford, did you read Luke Ford? Did you read? Did you hear about this? Did you read? And the way of doing things, we're gonna have to go internet. And he really dragged his heels on that. I think it took about a year or 2 years before he finally said, yeah, AVN's got to have an internet presence. Before
Mhm.
then, we were a publication. We were a
Yeah.
magazine that came out once a month. So Luke had the advantage of being on the internet. So when the whole Mark Wallace thing broke,
Mhm.
he could claim that he broke the story, which was not
Right.
actually the truth because we had the Mark Wallace story before he did, but because of publishing constraints and time constraints, the magazine with the story didn't come out until Luke already had his way with it on the internet. So
Yeah.
that was my argument to Fishbein. See, we this we are at a total disadvantage here, bro.
Yeah.
So
I remember when
that's
I heard
basically
about
how
that,
AVN.
you actually called our office. That's how I found out about the Mark Wallace thing. You had actually called our office and told me and Rob.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I was reading the stuff on Luke Ford too, but taking it with a grain of salt. But then when you called, it was like, holy shit. Wow. Luke was right.
Yeah, I think the point where nobody gives a shit anymore. I mean, we
Right.
don't even talk HIV like it's
I know. It's like, oh,
like a
take a,
problem or something that could possibly bring down a business. It's just not there. It's not talked.
yeah, now it's like a
Probably
thing
doesn't exist. I don't know.
you take a pill and you're good. Yep.
Yeah, but you remember when all of that happened? It just, like the next thing is like Barbara Dolph, and it was this. We were
Mm-hmm.
having town hall meetings in the industry, and
Yeah.
everybody was having their say. I mean, you remember those meetings
Mm-hmm.
where you would try to get up and have your say, and then some would try talking over you, and
Oh yeah.
it became yelling and screaming matches, and nothing ever accomplished.
Yeah.
But
I
that was the
remember.
industry. That was the industry on all fronts. I mean, it could never agree on anything.
Right. Hmm. All right. We're about to wrap this
So,
up.
but I always said, like for me, Extreme was the best days that I ever spent
Yeah.
in the industry, being over at Extreme Associates. There wasn't a day that didn't go by that I wasn't on the floor laughing my ass off, rolling over. There was just so many histrionics and absurd shit going on that nobody could ever possibly believe it.
I
If there's
know.
ever a movie to be made about the porn business, it would have to be those years at Extreme. Just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. It was definitely a good time.
And the funniest thing is like you were the biggest internet mark. I mean, the whole thing
Oh
about
yeah.
where's Tommy? Oh, he's on the internet, man. He's like on a gossip site.
I know. I should have started a Twitter or a Facebook or something. As much as I was on the fucking computer, but I don't know. I'm still like I go on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram now on my phone. Whereas back then it was like computer. But yeah, I've always been interested in like what people are saying and talking about. Because that was my business for almost 40 or 30 years.
Yeah.
So, I liked hearing about,
So I mean, that's the other thing that's frustrating to me is like the only thing you see about the business now are press releases, and everybody's all
right.
writing the same press release.
Exactly.
I'll go on to XBiz, then I'll go to AVN, and I'll say same lead story, same photograph.
Yeah. I don't even go on the sites
So
anymore.
what I try to do now is I figure out a way, a hook to take what they said and make a story out of it.
Right.
So I'm still dying to see what's gonna shake out as far as Pornhub is concerned, because uh, it was amazing to me to see that the New York Times several years ago picked up on what was going on with Pornhub, wrote an
Mhm.
expose about the sex trafficking going on,
Right.
and here's the New York Times. It resulted in what is still actively about 120 class action suits that are going on against Pornhub.
Yeah. Yep. Good
And I'm
old
just dying to
Pornhub.
see where all of this is going to wind up. If it's going to have any deleterious effect on the industry at large, because what we have now is the age verification that's been picked up by about 18 or 19 states, where Pornhub is not available in any of those states because of age verification laws. So, is this going to grow exponentially to the point where porn is going to be uh, regulated by the federal government ultimately? I don't know. That seems waiting for the next shoe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the fence about the age verification thing because it's like, I don't want people who shouldn't be watching this to be able to watch it. So the age verification thing is kind of like I'm sort of for it, but I also see how detrimental it could be, to companies like Pornhub, where you have those strict record keeping requirements and
But
stuff. I
see,
don't know.
there's more problem behind just age verification, because you're dispensing information on the internet that could come back and result in identity theft. I mean, you
Yeah,
have to put out a document, a driver's license, something, and sooner or later somebody's going to steal your identity,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's
That's
the bigger problem than just the
no,
saying
you're
it's
hundred
a
percent
free
right.
speech issue.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gene, we're coming up on an hour. I'm about to wrap this up. Do you have any parting thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Well, I, I'm trying to keep everybody abreast attuned of current developments and
Hmm.
thinking on the industry. And if they learn something, or if they're able to go down memory lane and have a, a smile on their face saying, "Oh yeah, I remember that girl. She worked back in for this company back in 1986, and I was her driver." It prompts a thought that they can throw in and add on my. I'm happy for that happening. So I'm going to
Yeah.
just keep that up and see where it takes me. Because
Yeah.
I have
Definitely.
been thinking about the uh, starting up another website or a blog, and I'm just kind of like on the fence with that
Yeah.
right
But
now.
look into the monetization on Facebook, because you could get paid. Not, I don't know how much, but worth a shot.
Yeah, the money thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But money's
Yeah.
good. I like money.
Hey, I
Uh,
could always use that extra $3 a month.
oh fuck yeah, it comes in handy.
Yeah.
It's a pack of gum. I don't know. Anyway, it was nice talking to you after all these years, Gene, and we will talk to you. Uh, we'll talk to you
Nice
again.
talking to you as well.
I mean, it's been a little bit like broadcasting from the
For
moon because
cleaning
you're.
up all the little bugs and all this.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but nice to talk to you, Gene. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, okay. Sorry about all the audio feed issues, but hey, it is what it is. Don't forget, go to my sponsor, Green Genie, greengenieny.com. That's greengenieny.com. And Yeah, man. We'll see you next week. Oh, next week we got a good one. It's with Alexandra Silk and Luke Wilder. So I will see you next week.